Okay, so tonight's shir, first of all, sponsored by Lenny and Susan Goldstein, and also by my uncle and aunt, Halini and David Donath, for a Refuah Shlema for my cousin, Joseph Yosef Yitzchak Yehuda Ben Chanasar, who needs Refuah Shlema. So I think the overall topic of tonight's shir was really about, in terms of nichush, divination, is really about recognizing the question of who controls the world. Basically, any of these things, for those who got through the opening sugya, the Torah Tamima talks about this, as long as you're doing things within the context of giving kudos and appropriate role of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and all these signs, it's okay. If you're doing something which is just literally based on the arbitrary happenstance, so that's be problematic. So just a few ha'aros that stood out to me that I thought were very interesting. Number one, the notion the Meiri says. The Meiri wasn't inside. He alluded to in one of the interludes, and the Meiri talks about the Hiratzons and Rosh Hashanah. So I don't know in your families if you say the Hiratzons or not, but I thought that the Meiri brings this down halach l'maisa, that the reason why the Hiratzons were instigated in the Simanim on Rosh Hashanah were because if not for the Hiratzon, it might look like you're just making this arbitrary statement, because I'm eating a gourd, we're going to be killing our enemies, and because I'm eating an apple, it's going to be a sweet new year. It seems almost like, what is this religion? So for me, I think learning the sugya now, coming Rosh Hashanah, I'm going to have a better understanding. The Hiratzon really is what makes the whole Siman and Milsa appropriate, because it's not just the Siman. The Meiri and the Torah Tamima basically say it's all about connecting the dots back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge. So that was the first, really the whole first part of this year. And then I don't know how far people got, but I want to spend some time talking about the magic. So for those who did not get there, I did not just get there now. So basically there are shitos, there's a Rambam, there's a Maharik that basically say that magic is forbidden, even if it's just deception of the eye, sleight of hand. There are those shitos which seem to say that it's forbidden. So if for those who got through the whole sugi, you'll see that those who are matir seem to be saying one of two things. For those who are have a magician signed up for their next birthday party or their kid's next birthday party who need a heter, so there are two important things to note. One is that a non-Jewish magician is okay. So if you need a magician, you can always get a non-Jew. And two, if you have a really bad magician, it's okay. That's basically what I took away. If the magician is revealing his tricks, or there is no possible way anyone is thinking he has superpowers, or some sort of responds to a higher power, so that's okay. And that's really what the B'tzel Chachma said, and some of the other Achronim basically said if the magician is revealing his tricks, the only problem is where whatever he's doing really makes people think that this person has superpowers. And I thought it was so fascinating. It was like a line that was it's on page 148 for Rav Halberstam, when he's distinguishing between what is that people are going to think is a miracle, like he has superpowers, and what is just clearly sleight of hand. Did anyone get the example he used? He said like airplanes. He said all the technological advances we have, and the example he gave was like airplanes, which means that he probably was so misspelled. He thought like airplanes at the time he's living in he was in the Holocaust, so it's probably in like the 50s when he's writing this. When were airplanes created? I don't know. But he probably thought when it first came out, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like a miracle that this thing is working. That was the reference he gave of like, today we don't know what to believe is true, what is false. I thought it was just fascinating. The technological advancements that he points out is something which we have to be careful of what the fine line is. Also, two other points I wanted to draw on. The ultimate heter, I think, was brought up by Rav Moshe Feinstein. Rav Moshe Feinstein basically says that he doesn't think that magic is usher altogether, as long as it's sleight of hand, as long as not anyone thinking that you have miracles up your sleeve. But Rav Moshe made 2 points which I think were worth bringing to your attention. So first of all, he goes in the beginning. He says that this whole shayla has never really come up. No one's actually ever asked him a shayla. On page 150, in the middle of that paragraph, he says about 8 lines down. He says, "V'miktzas mekomos shizdamin shayiti al chatunot shayisham bathan." I've been to a few weddings and they had a barchan, which is basically like a clown, a jokester. Lo nis'asku b'dvarim ka'elu. They weren't doing anything which looked to me that was problematic. Therefore, it's really a theoretical sugya, not practical. Even though I'm not at all mesupa, meaning I think it is for sure mutzer. Hayiti mishtamtina b'nei kavod rabboseinu ha'osrin. But if someone would practically push me for a heter, if they would say, Rabbi, I want to know, can I hire a magician for my kid's birthday party, for my next birthday party? He would say, at a kavod for the rabbis who aser, he would try to get out of the question. Which I thought was such a sensitive line Rav Moshe is saying. Because if you went through the sugya, there are a lot of people who said it's forbidden. Then Rav Moshe comes along and says, I don't really know what the isser is. But he says, but as a sensitivity, he would be hesitant to give the heter because so many people thought it was problematic. Which I just think is something that we sometimes when we don't know the reason for something, we are quick to say, it doesn't make any sense, so it's okay, or it's fine. But Rav Moshe, I thought was such a sensitive point, was saying, even though I think it is fine, but he's saying that out of respect for those who think it's a problem, I don't really want this question to come, or I'd be hesitant to answer the shayla. That was the first fascinating point I thought of Rav Moshe. And just if I make one more point, was regarding children. So just look at the end of the sugya, because we just said that the distinction practically of a magic show is, if you think that something miraculous is happening, is problematic, but if you just sleight of hand and you know that the guy just has a trick up his sleeve, literally, so then it's okay. You're not going to think that he has any special powers. Look at the last paragraph of Moshe Feinstein. He writes, Umasha Hosif, Duash Harbe Yeladim means Pali Mizeh. But what about the children? The children might not be able to make that distinction. They might leave the magic show saying, wow, that guy was awesome. He don't want to mess with that guy. He can, turn me into a carrot or something. He frees alamida, so surely that's an exaggeration. It says even the kids aren't going to think the guy is godlike. They're only going to think that he's a really chashuv person. This magician is really chashuv. The yesh vada yeladim shechoshvim shehar be'iki kamo, and there are children who are going to think, wow, there are lots of really good magicians out there, and that's not problematic. So what do we make of this Rav Moshe? Well, what is Rav Moshe saying? It's a little bit. I'll tell you what I think he's saying. What I think he's saying is that as long as no one's going to walk away and say that this person is God or has godlike powers, then it's okay. If the kid's going to walk away and say, wow, that's an awesome magician and he's got really cool stuff, and I bet you there are a lot of other really great magicians out there who have really cool stuff, that's okay. We're okay with that. It's when the kid thinks the magician has godlike powers, that's where we have to draw the line. And so I'm wondering here. I'm just throwing this out there, not I have no information on this. But where do we put the role of heroes and characters that we see on movies, on X-Men or whatever your superhero of choice is that a sugya? Meaning, does a child, the same way a child is going to walk away from the magic show, and what's the child thinking of the magician? And Rav Moshe is saying, we just want to make sure that the child, we're okay with him thinking, wow, there's a great magician. We don't have to think that the magician is godlike. So then, I think we have the same shilas. What about, do we ever talk to our kids about what do they think of the superheroes they watch on the movies? I don't know. I'm wondering if there should be a conversation of some sort, like, hey kids. I have to be careful who's watching. I once told my nephew that the tooth fairy was not real, and my brother-in-law was very upset. He said only a parent can tell their kid. No, even an uncle, it's not his business to tell someone else whether Santa Claus or the tooth fairy is real or not. So I'm not paskening halach l'mais or anyone else's kid. But if you do have a kid, it might be something that's worth having a conversation of, what do you think X-Men, Iron Man, whatever is, because we really want to make sure that the kids don't walk away thinking that anyone has these superpowers. Anyway, that was where the ha'aras I wanted to share with you, and I hope you guys enjoyed the limud this week.